This is Escape from Tarkov, but it might not be the game you recognise. We're talking no advanced weapon mods, no sprawling quest lines, and none of that punishing inertia. This was the raw, unfiltered idea. So how in the world did we get from this to the hyper-realistic, soul-crushing experience that has hooked millions today? Let's wind back the clock and trace the incredible evolution of Escape from Tarkov. For nearly a decade, one name has dominated the extraction shooter genre with the most brutal, realistic and rewarding gameplay loop out there: Escape from Tarkov. This is a game that refuses to hold your hand. It punishes every mistake with startling finality and rewards deep knowledge and patience above all else. But this complex beast wasn't built in a day. Its story is one of slow, methodical growth, bold design, and a development journey as dangerous as a nightmare raid on labs. Today, we're charting that entire journey, from its earliest, almost unrecognisable builds to the genre-defining title it is now. This is the complete evolution of Escape from Tarkov. Our story kicks off in August 2016, with the launch of the closed alpha for the small, dedicated crew of early testers. This was the very first taste of what the developer Battlestate Games was cooking up, and it was raw. The core DNA was there: intense looting, realistic gunplay, and a sense of dread you could cut with a knife. But this early version was just a skeleton. Only a couple of maps, like Customs and Factory, were in the game, with a tiny arsenal of weapons and gear. Forget about intricate armor systems, character skills, or the hideout. They just didn't exist yet. This phase was all about proving the concept. The movement was clunky, animations were basic, and the game was brimming with what the community lovingly calls the jank. And yet, even in this primordial state, the atmosphere was second to none. The potential was obvious. This wasn't just another shooter. It was the foundation of a true survival simulator for a hardcore audience. A year later, in 2017, the gates creaked open a little wider with the launch of the closed beta. This was a huge moment. A large player base meant more feedback, and the game started expanding fast. New maps began to appear, performance saw its first real improvements, and the very first quest system made its debut. This is when Tarkov truly started to find its footing. It began to pull away from games like DayZ or Arma. The unique mix of session-based raids with persistent progression created an incredibly addictive loop. Every single raid mattered. You weren't just fighting to survive in the moment. You were building a stash, leveling up traders, and slowly clawing your way to the top. The beta phase is what cemented Tarkov's identity as a PvPvE monster, where the threat of other players was just as terrifying as the AI scavs lurking around the corner. By 2019, the player base was growing, and veterans were mastering the maps. Battlestate Games answered by dialing up the threat with the release of the Reserve map. Reserve was a turning point. It was a dense, high-stakes military base, stuffed with top-tier loot, but it introduced a whole new level of risk. This wasn't just another map, it was a new tier of challenge. Reserve brought more advanced AI, blurring the lines between fighting bots and players, and forced everyone to develop new strategies. But that wasn't all. Later that year, another feature arrived that would fundamentally change the game outside of raids: the hideout. It's easy to take for granted now, but before this, there was no out-of-raid crafting, no Bitcoin farm, and no place to passively heal or test guns. The hideout gave players a real home base. It created a deep connection to your character's journey, and gave value to all that random loot you picked up. Suddenly, a corrugated hose wasn't just vendor trash. It was a key part of your next upgrade. The hideout added a powerful resource management layer, pushing Tarkov from a pure shooter into a much deeper RPG. If one year marked Tarkov's explosion into the mainstream, it was 2020. This was thanks to two things: the Flea market and a widely successful Twitch drop event. The Flea market completely flipped the in-game economy on its head. For the first time, players had a global, player-driven marketplace to buy and sell almost anything. It blew the doors open on gear access. No longer were you at the mercy of trader levels. If you had the rubles, you could buy the kit. This new accessibility couldn't have come at a better time. When the Twitch drops brought hundreds of thousands of new players to the game, the Flea market gave them a fighting chance to catch up. The event cemented Tarkov's place in the streaming world, creating a wave of new creators and a massive, engaged audience that turned Tarkov from a popular niche title into a global phenomenon. It's pretty clear that 2020 was a monumental year for the game, and it's when a huge chunk of Tarkov player base jumped in. So I've got a question to ask. When did you first start playing Tarkov? Just let me know down in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see how long people have been surviving out there. After the 2020 boom, Battlestate Games went back to its roots, focusing on core mechanics and rolling out some of the most significant and controversial changes in the game's history. The years 2021 and 2022 were all about realism, most notably with the introduction of the weight and inertia systems. The reason for these changes was clear: to get rid of the unrealistic floaty movement that had started to dominate firefights. The infamous AD/ADA spam and instant direction changes were breaking immersion and lowering the skill ceiling. Inertia completely changed how movement felt, making it heavier, more deliberate, and more lifelike. It was a shock to the system for a lot of players, but it was a crucial step toward fulfilling the developer's vision of a shooter that is as realistic as playable. This change, more than almost any other, forced a slower, more tactical approach to every single gunfight. The most recent era of Tarkov has been defined by massive expansions and technical upgrades. A major engine upgrade in 2024 brought a huge leap in visual fidelity and performance for many players. Lighting, weather, and map details all got a facelift, making the world more immersive than ever. This period also saw a launch of Escape from Tarkov Arena. Arena offered a new way to enjoy Tarkov's best-in-class gunplay without the risk of losing all your gear. More recently, in 2024, the long-awaited PvE co-op mode finally became available for purchase as an expansion. This came after serious community debate, but it opened the game up to players who prefer a purely cooperative fight for survival. Meanwhile, core systems continue to get reworked, including a major overhaul to armour and the addition of sprawling new maps like Streets of Tarkov. So, from a clunky, bare-bones alpha to a sprawling, genre-defining beast, the evolution of Escape from Tarkov has been nothing short of incredible. It's a testament to a clear, unwavering vision and a development process that, while not always perfect, has consistently pushed the limits of realism. The game has been shaped not by just its developers, but by the passionate, vocal community that has stuck with it through thick and thin. And the story is far from over. Battlestate Games has confirmed that the full 1.0 release is planned for 2025, a launch that will finally end the game's long-running beta. Following that, a release on Steam is also confirmed, but is expected to bring the brutal world of Tarkov to an even wider audience. With a dedicated story campaign, a prestige system, and even more new locations on the horizon. The journey has been long, but it's clear the true escape from Tarkov is only just beginning. This has been XB. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.